This is the Invincible podcast on TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about Season 4, Episode 7 of Invincible, Don't Do Anything Rash.
Thaedus, you say Viltrumites respect strength. That is correct. We do. But these creatures, their strength is not true strength. We must educate them not because of their defiance, but because their weakness is an offense to the natural order of the universe.
You are young, Regent. Perhaps you do not yet see the longer game.
Regent Thragg is correct. Reduce the planet's population by 25%. If they continue to resist, eradicate them.
Emperor, I urge you to reconsider.
Do you?
Welcome back, fellow Guardians, to the Invincible podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're talking about Invincible, Season 4, Episode 7, the penultimate for Season 4, Don't Do Anything Rash. I'm one of your hosts, Chris.
I am your rash-covered host, Derek.
Ooh, is it crunchy? I was about to say crunchy, that's even worse.
No, it's just
crunchy
red,
rashes.
Just red.
Just red, that's fine, that's fine.
It's your ashes, never good.
Yeah. No. We'll get some antihistamines into you, and it will be fine. We are at the end of our penultimate as we come into the final hour of Season 4.
Yes. At the end of the Viltrumite war here.
Or are we?
Basically. How's it going to go? I know I keep looking at up issue numbers and where we are in terms of the comic books, and we're almost at the halfway point here. It's issue 71 to 78 is this part of the storyline in the comic books. So there's only about another 60 issues after this. So
I love it.
Cool.
Only another 60. Yeah, exactly.
But it is crazy to think that, there's about 8 issues of the comics covered in this episode of Invincible, isn't it? That's crazy.
I think we talked about this in the last episode of us discussing it, which is some of the elements they've really drawn out and extenuated the kind of segments. Best one I can say is where like Nolan and Debbie had that discussion.
Yeah.
And it was, again, it was a couple of it was a couple of pages, kind of a discussion across some panels, but they kind of really extended that.
Yeah.
Here, some of these fight scenes are like a whole issue, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's like one punch. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're also then getting this. Oh boy, the journey to the center of the earth, Viltrum, or the journey to the center of Viltrum, kind of immortalized on the silver screen.
It's exceptional.
It's exceptional. Yeah, that's the only way you can really call it. Like it's something I'm hoping people will discuss. It's something I'm hoping people will kind of come to us. Our fellow Guardians will go, like, write in and tell us, go, oh my, like, what?
Yes.
We are recording this a day early. Thank you to Prime Video for giving us these final episodes. But I'm just expecting this to be a bit of a shock horror moment for our fellow Guardians.
Yeah.
Especially this episode. Like, not just that moment, but this episode.
Absolutely, yeah. I cannot wait to hear the thoughts of our fellow Guardians. As you say, Chris, we're recording a little bit early. If you want to send in your feedback to us, you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop on over to the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/tvpodcastindustries, where there's a spoiler post up there for Invincible, or pop on over to our Discord as well. There's spoiler posts up there as well. We're covering 3 shows at the moment. We're covering The Boys, Invincible, and Daredevil Daredevil Born Again as well. So lots and lots of stuff going on. So make sure you find the right spoiler post for your comments, because we really do want to hear your thoughts on these episodes. As Chris mentioned, we're very lucky to be able to see this episode in advance of airing, which allows us to record it this week. We wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So I'm delighted about that. And if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, where you can get access to all of the shows that we're covering, pop on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com, and you can subscribe on any Invincible or Vulnerable podcast player over there to get access to all the shows that we're covering.
Yes. But Derek, I did want to get your viewpoints and thoughts on this episode. So I'm going to suggest we just dive straight into the episode details.
Absolutely.
And do you know what? We're going to shake things up, as it is the penultimate episode. Do you know what? I'm going to tell the fellow Guardians who gave us what, where, when, and how with the episode details.
Absolutely. Please do, Chris.
So, Invincible is based on the comic series written by Robert Kirkman and illustrated by Cory Walker and Ryan Ottley, developed by Robert Kirkman, produced by Robert Kirkman, David Albert, Catherine Winder, Simon Raciopa, Margaret M. Dean, Seth Rogen, and Evan Goldberg. This episode was written by Helen Leigh. This is her 5th episode of Invincible after the season premiere, and as we discussed, she also wrote Adam Eve, the movie, and is a writer on the upcoming Invincible versus game, which is a Street Fighter-esque fight, kind of button-mashing fighter.
Yes,
it's a tag team, actually, fighter, if you understand what that is.
Yes, it's massive. It's like Mortal Kombat. Massive game. They just had their beta test this weekend as we record this. So lots of people playing the game, stress testing the servers for when it goes online in a couple of weeks' time. But really intrigued to see what the single player experience is on that. If they've brought on board someone like Helen Leigh to write the story, there has to be a story in there for all of us to play it through, right?
I'm assuming it has to be some form of kind of Langstrom Evie multiversal piece. I do know that Robert Kirkman is involved in Invincible versus. Yeah. He usually has a finger in most Invincible pies.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The episode was also directed by Stephanie Gonzaga. This is season 4, episode 3 was her first episode, and now this is back for her second. And we can definitely see that she does have a very particular type of kind of beating around everything, smashing it up episodes.
It's a massive episode to get the director credit on it. Yes, it's absolutely huge, excellent stuff.
Now, Derek, do you want to tell them what they gave us with the episode synopsis?
Sure. Thousands of years ago, when the Relonians began an uprising against their Viltrumite oppressors, the leaders argued over what was to be done. A younger Thaedus argues that their strength should not be punished, but their leader Argyll is unmoved, ordering 25% of their race be destroyed. Before the plan can be enacted, Thaedus assassinates Argyll and flees the planet. Determined to root out the perceived weakness that caused his glorious leader's death, the new regent Thragg orders all Viltrumites to destroy all weakness they find, leading to the murder of millions. Only the strong survive. In the present day, Thedeus leads a team of the coalition's strongest warriors, including Nolan, Mark, Oliver, Alan, Tech Jacket, and Space Racer, to the planet Viltrum. He hopes to catch and kill Thragg and a small group of Viltrumites before they've had time to regroup and leave the race leaderless. But they were prepared, and both groups battle furiously against each other. Thragg makes one last offer to Nolan to come back to the Viltrumite side, and all will be forgiven. The planet is everything that they represent. Unable to beat the Viltrumites in battle, Nolan, Thedeus, and Mark follow an infinity bolt from Space Racer's weapon through the core of Viltrum, destroying the planet and its legacy. Furious, Thragg unleashes his power on the team, taking Thedeus' head and Oliver's jaw, declaring he's a mistake, adding nothing to the Viltrumite race. He leaves Nolan beaten unconscious and is stopped short of killing Mark, realizing they've lost too many Viltrumites already. Weeks later, Mark is awakened by Alan, the new leader of the Coalition of Planets. Alan has been tasked to find and retrieve the missing Viltrumites, but as they discuss their plans, Mark realizes the superpowered beings are on their way to Earth. What a realization, Chris.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like it took them nearly 2 weeks to get to Earth last time.
Well, yeah, we'll talk all about the implications and all about these scenes as we go through our points. Do you want to start on our first point, Chris?
Yes. It's a flashback. Point number one, the Viltrumite purge after Argyll's murder. This shocked me for a second, to be very honest, because I was a bit like, wait, what? Not expecting to go straight from the previous episode into a flashback on this.
Yeah.
So was trying to kind of just almost sense check myself, going, wait, what's happening? Where, like, is this a different region? Who is this?
Yeah.
And the realization slowly kind of coming upon me, and most of our viewers, I'm assuming, that the young buck of Thaedus in his mustachio style, with minus his beard.
Very old though.
Yeah, no. They, like, hey, what? Like, can you imagine? He must be multiple. If Nolan is over 1,000, Thedeus, what? 2, 3?
Well, there's some
years?
talk in the show, actually, that Nolan has said that he's 2,000 years old. He said to Debbie that he's 1,000 years old, but he said in other episodes that he's 2,000. So, yeah, we probably think that that Thaedus is probably 4,000, 5,000.
Yeah.
A couple of millennia. He's sitting on the central leadership group of the Viltrumites as well, so that would presumably mean he is one of the older members of the team as well. So yeah, it's a great way to open the episode though. Really liked it. A couple of weeks ago we had the episode where it opened with Nolan as a child and we didn't know who it was for a while. That was their flashback episode where we learned all about the scourge on the planet, the dropping of the virus which killed millions of Viltrumites, and this time it's talking about the purge of the Viltrumites and the death of Argyll. So I love that it gives that flashback to give it its own context, to give it its own time, so you learn about the characters, learn about the relationships of all of the Viltrumites together these thousands of years ago. What a cool idea. Yeah.
And they do drop an interesting piece of lore that I want to call out to people, which is Thragg, particularly once Argyll is dead and killed by Thaedus. And that was a very cool kill, by the way. It was literally an Assassin's Creed style from the shadows.
It was. Yeah, it was very cool.
Thragg himself says that as there is no Argyll descendants or bloods, he assumes the place of Grand Emperor Regent.
Yes, until... Well, he doesn't say as there is no, he says until one is found, an heir of Argyll is found, which makes me feel there is an heir of Argyll out there, but just hadn't been found at the time.
Yes, exactly. Because it's that language choice, and they specifically call it out.
Yeah.
So it is one piece. But look, this is interesting because Thragg does then go heavy into the genocidal maniac sociopath of Argyll's teachings, and we do get the purge.
Yes.
So at the funeral, basically invokes a almost like go crazy. It basically the purge the film,
yeah,
but basically on a planetary scale.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a really interesting one. I was watching the episode again today, just making some extra notes, and noticed again the interaction really between Thragg and the people around him. He is the one that wants to stop the fight that's coming in from Thaedus. We have General Krieg who's having the argument with Thaedus, but Thragg and Argyll are talking after the conversation where Thaedus is saying, we value strength. Why are we killing anybody that uprises against us? The Relonians are just showing the strength that we're expecting of our subjects. And everybody else around the table is kind of going, well, no, but we don't want anybody any kind of uprising. There's the third one in the last while, so we need to stop it all, end it all. But we have the conversation between Thragg and Argyll, and Thragg's telling him Thaedus has become weak. Thaedus has begun feeling sympathy for other races ever since he has been on his tour of duty, I guess we're calling it. That while he was away, he found sympathy for other races. And at that point, Argyll tells Thragg, if you feel his weakness is threatening the Viltrumite Empire, kill him, do something about it. And Thragg questions himself, going, well, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'll leave it. But if he'd done something about it there, Argyll would still been alive, and this is what pushes Thragg to start the purge. He tells them all to cut out any weakness that could inspire similar feelings to Thedeus, and that's what has thousands, millions of Viltrumites turning on each other and killing everyone around them.
And it is like old school biblical purging, because you see, like, the one that sticks with me is that, like, there's a lot of blood and gore and usual craziness, like people being Superman level fights, which is fantastic to see on screen.
It is.
That I want to call out, but there's a scene that sticks with me, and it just flashes on screen where you have 4 children, and 3 of them are basically wailing on and killing a 4th. On the ground. The reason that sticks with me is because you don't usually see that in a show or an animated or live action. It is something you rarely see in any type of media, where it is showing a level of crazy devotion that you would only see in, say, 1940s Germany, or say certain cults, and there's a sociopathic kind of piece to it, which is like, it's that kind of groupthink.
Yes.
Where it's the kind of the riots, like everything just gets going. And a whole civilization is brought down to a degree. Like, it's culled. Let's say culled. 20% of them is pulled back, because you see Conquest, Thragg, and one of the other kind of scary level of Viltrumite ladies. There, like, and they're just about to fight. And Conquest, a young buck of a Conquest, younger buck of a Conquest, does for a split second think about going after Thragg.
He absolutely does.
Like, you can see the hand clenching, and then him kind of agreeing to Emperor Regent. Yeah,
this is all gloves off. And in fact, I think Thragg would have absolutely accepted Conquest coming for him, but he's giving him the opportunity to step back and say, right, that's it, we're done. We are the ones that have survived the initial purge. We will go on, basically. But yeah, it looks like he would have taken on Conquest. And I don't know whether, after seeing this episode, I don't know whether Conquest would have survived that battle either. He may have thought he would, but Thragg's very, very powerful. The other thing that comes out of that scene as well, Chris, and out of all of the deaths that are going on, is the cruelty of the Viltrumites. It's not just strength that is fostered here with the purge going on. He says, to eradicate the weakness that you see in others. And when you see a group of kids gang up on one other kid, that's cruelty, that's bullying, and it leads to murder and death. So what's being fostered within the Viltrumites is the thing that Thedeus is trying to shut down, is the cruelty that they're pushing on other races, pushing on other planets, and pushing on each other now. So by Thragg unleashing this purge, he's now created a whole race of people that for the rest of their time will test and will murder anybody that they see as weak within their race. So that's what seems to have gone on all the way through now, from here all the way through to where we are in present day, right? Yeah, and it goes on for hundreds of years. It's crazy. Yeah, exactly. But that does then take us to hard cut to the present day. And that's kind of our point 2, and it's going to take up most of our kind of discussions. The Viltrumite War is being taken to Viltrum. Yes. And so we kind of, like I said, flash cut to present day, and we do have the coalition, and we have everyone kind of discussing, and Thaedus going, we have to get there, we have to take the fight to them, it has to be small, the rest of the Viltrumites will be back to Viltrum within a matter of days. So let's go. And you get your nice little, I suppose, I don't know how to call it. It's that kind of hero's journey piece where you kind of have, it's the everyone going off to what is they consider to be the kind of unwinnable final battle, but they're going to win anyway because they can do it in time and get there. And Yeah,
Little
it's the hopeful journey. There is the bonding sequence where we see them all chatting about what their favorite meal would be if they had one choice for one last meal. I love that.
Burger Mart is back again.
Burger Mart, of course, is mentioned by the two kids. With Tack Jacket and with Oliver choosing their favorite meal. I love that Alan's eating the little live creatures and saying, "I've already got my favorite meal." And my favorite, of course, is Battle Beast, who's saying that we must eat now. Later we feast on our enemies' entrails, or they on ours. My final meal will be my own blood as I choke on it after being beaten by a superior opponent. That is hilarious. Classic Battle Beast. Loved it.
For me, I want to call it Alan's piece, where Tack Jacket turns around and goes, "I can't eat that. It has a face on it." Mm-hmm. Your moo cows have a face on it. And I'm like, yeah, he's got a point. Moo cows have a face. Just not when you're eating them.
Exactly.
And they don't scream as they go in my mouth, which I thought, hats off to the audio design on this one.
Yeah.
So basically you hear the, crunch and then chew. And I'm like, well done. They have that crunch just at the right level of that it kind of is not silenced but suffocated.
Right.
Yeah. Well
fantastic. Reminded me of the poplars from Futurama. A whole race of very cute looking things that look like McNuggets, and they're the tastiest thing, but they're all alive and very cute, but nobody can stop eating them because they're gorgeous.
Yep. They're tasty as hell.
Exactly. But it's really interesting that we see this kind of layup of everybody coming together, all the most powerful of the heroes from the coalition. They're making this trip to get to Viltrum. They think they're going to surprise the Viltrumites. They arrive. We talked before about the ring of bodies that's around the planet. They travel through it, and we get the explanation of what that is, the millions and millions of people. But I love the underlining that Nolan does of why it's there. It's not there because they didn't have enough space on the planet to bury the bodies or something like that. It's there as a warning for every time the Viltrumites leave the planet, which they do very often. They're all sent off on their missions and come back and forth often enough. For every time they leave, this is the note of when they failed. This is a reminder of when they failed and of their weakness, so that they all see that as they come back and forth to the planet. That's a serious, scary thought from Nolan, I thought. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. There's also a line between Nolan and Thedeus, which is essentially regarding Scourge 2.0, where Nolan does remind Thedeus that Mark and Oliver are half Viltrumite. Mm-hmm. So while Nolan and Thedeus are accepting of the loss of their own lives, sacrifice of their own selves, to remove the threat that is the Viltrumite, they are not potentially willing to do that to Oliver and Mark.
You say they. One of them is willing to do it.
Yes, sorry. Nolan does. Yeah. Nolan is not willing to make that sacrifice.
Because this comes back later on when we have the conversation between Thragg and Nolan, where Thragg is offering Nolan a place. He's telling him he can end all hostilities if he just comes home to Viltrum, and asks him, does he have, and tells him his children have a space there as well if they decide to come back. Does Thedeus have that same thought in mind? And you see Nolan going, I think he realizes that Thedeus is going to kill everybody, including my children, me, him, all the rest of the people of our entire race. He's willing to sacrifice them all. And you see the reaction from Thragg where he goes, well, you're clearly not as naive as I thought you were. You understand that what you're putting on the line for Thaedus is all of you, not just to die in battle against me. It's that the entire race will be wiped out if Thedeus gets his way.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think that's the I suppose that's the setup that you get, and they kind of align everyone, and it was done in the right way, which is you kind of have the fun comical moment, and then they're kind of the deeper moments between the Nolan and Thaedus, and then you have Mark's moment where he's talking to Eve. Well, he's recording a message for Eve.
Yeah.
And it is that kind of like going off to battle.
Yeah.
Gonna send my loved one a letter type thing.
Absolutely.
And he does kind of do the thing most people go, which is, screw it. I'm gonna just kind of, I don't need to go this because I'm coming home.
Yeah.
And little does he know. But he does, technically, yeah. Like, I suppose he survives to a degree. But that kind of sets the foundation then for everyone, for the audience. Kind of like, okay, you understand where everyone is in this kind of overall approach as you come into the final quote-unquote battle of the Viltrumite War. Derek, what did you think? I knew how this kind of ambush plays out, but what was your own thoughts and feelings around this approach?
Yeah, I absolutely loved that the animation plays such a strong part in what's going on here. You know, as I said, them flying through the bodies of the Viltrumites in the ring around the planet. I thought it was really well done. Having the conversation, then you just see the eyes of one of the what you think are bodies open, so you know they're hidden in there, and then it's Thragg's waiting for us. He knows we're coming, and so do all of the rest of the Viltrumites. So we've seen battles against a few Viltrumites before. We just saw it last week as well, but I think they amped it up quite well here. They've come along with all of their weapons. The whole time at the beginning I was going, where's Space Racer? Remember, we talked about it last week. Why isn't he there? Why isn't he shooting his weapon, killing them all? Because all it takes is one shot from Space Racer. And they did a really cool thing where they have him hidden. He arrives, but he's not there to just shoot his gun. He's there to deliver the Ragnars, who are the beasts that we saw that almost killed Alan and Nolan when they tried to capture them back in episode 3 or episode 4. So I loved all the movements of these battles. Again, I can get very tired of a show that is just punch every week, no matter how brutal it is, and no matter how much guts are spilled. I can get very tired of it. So doing something different with the battles here versus what we saw last week, I think was really, really good. I love that everybody had a little a little moment in the battle, you know, Tech Jacket with her Sinlac poison in the 10 darts that she had available to her. As she fires them, if one does land, Alan then is there behind her to be able to take out the Viltrumites with his very, very powerful fists. Like, my God, his fist going through the stomach of one guy and coming out of his mouth as he kills him was pretty phenomenal looking.
Yes.
Yeah, so really like that. And then, getting to see Battle Beast really enjoy the war where he gets to go up against Krieg and then tries to go up against Thragg, and Thragg just instantly goes nope and knocks him away. You're
like, how far is he spinning out into space?
Absolutely. I guess Battle Beast is gone for a while again.
Just again, he shall return for battle to feast on the entrails. Exactly. Dorn does such a great delivery on the lines in this episode as Battle Beast, just like one-liners as he kind of does these things.
30 years as a Klingon, Chris. That's what it is.
I absolutely love this. Again, you're right. No matter what the show is, if it's battle, it does get boring. Yeah. The interesting thing here is not the same. Even though we do have a number of flying heroes on a planet, so the Viltrums flying around, it's this up is down, left is right space battle. Like outer space, where you do have everyone's coming from different angles. There is no up, there is no down. So it's interesting to see, and then how they play on that, which is like you have the Ragnars being flung, you have Space Racer firing his weapon, goes through one and cuts another. It was just, I suppose the term is choreographed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it would be storyboarded technically because it's animation, but choreographed in terms of how you would put together a fight like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, as I say, I love that everybody has a bit of jeopardy in there. I did laugh at the space racer moment when 3 of the Viltrumites come up and start punching him in the face, and it's, oh my god, who would have thought this tiny little piece of glass that's on the front of my face could be the thing that is the only thing between me and dying? Yeah. Probably should have protected Space Racer, but at least Tech Jacket's able to come back and use the nanotech to repair that pretty quickly and save him, thankfully, because he's a pretty important person to be there. But yeah, I guess the final movement of it, as I kind of mentioned earlier on, is Nolan being beaten down to the planet and then having the offer from Thragg to rejoin the Viltrumites. Because of the implications of it, I suppose. Nolan has now made the decision that he is moving away from the Viltrumites. He doesn't believe in their cause anymore. He's aligned himself completely with Thedeus and with the coalition. He was puzzling over that for a large part of the season so far. So in this conversation where he's being offered the opportunity to come home, in inverted commas, Nolan's saying to them, this planet is just a husk. It's just a graveyard to all of the dead Viltrumites that have gone before. Give it up. If you agree terms, you can at least be alive, but this planet is nothing. And you see, that is what gets Thragg's back up more than anything else. He believes the legacy of the planet and their history is still there. It's not about there only being 40 members of their society left. It's about there being 40 members of their society left. It's like it's a different perspective on exactly the same thing. Thragg's going 40 of us versus the entire galaxy is 40 very powerful beings. And Nolan's kind of thinking, well, you're already beaten. Loved this moment between the two of them, but it does push Thragg over the edge, I think.
Yeah. And for me, it's seeing Viltrum depicted. So, like, up until that point, we had seen, and all the flashbacks we've seen of Viltrum, it is shiny, pretty, blue skies.
Yeah.
Everything is not decayed to the level that it is. Mm-hmm. This present day view of how Viltrum was it is a mausoleum. It is a monument to the death, destruction of a whole planet, of a race. Mm-hmm. Just supposedly, it's much like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I suppose that what the monument is and says is in the eye of the beholder too. But it doesn't last long.
No, it does not. No.
Should we move on to our point 3?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's go on to our third and final point for the episode, the destruction of Viltrum. Oh my god, I am so glad we had the conversation last week about what
I know, it
was the Space Racer.
I was laughing when I was watching it again. I was like, oh, they did it in this episode. I thought this was going to be in the finale.
But it didn't spoil anything. I hope our fellow Guardians don't feel that we spoiled anything by having that conversation last week. I was genuinely curious why a character that could shoot a hole straight through any Viltrumite that he pointed the weapon at, why he wasn't taking every shot. He takes a lot more shots in this episode and they go wildly off course. I'm worried about now all the other planets in that galaxy and what happens to them. But yeah, I love that they all team up together for one last push, and it is it's moments where Oliver has been knocked off course effectively. He's had his arm ripped off and his jaw knocked out. But everybody has to stay focused and has to go for this one last push to take out the planet. I really love that they've done it this way.
Yeah, and it animated beautifully. Like, just spectacular.
Incredible.
It is, and I think when we were having the discussion last week, I think we were saying, like, yeah, it goes on and on. It does look like the shots dissipate.
Yeah.
And so I would say that it's not infinite or the infinity kind of gun. They don't go on and on for infinity. I think it's just, it is a very just powerful shot that goes through everything to a point as it dissipates out. Yeah. But it basically just builds the momentum for this arrow that is 3 Viltrumites going hell for leather. The shot as it first penetrates Viltrum, as they come down in this blue arc. Again, we talked about a couple of times now in our discussions for this season of just those shots that I would take the still from and put on the wall. That is one of those. This kind of just... actually, this going in and coming out of Viltrum are two shots that I was like, that's pretty enough. Like, if you don't know what you're seeing, you just have some amazingly pretty splash colors. And kind of overall reds and blues. And, it looks spectacular. And as you do have Nolan just kind of pushing on, like, stay the course. As you see, like, they're essentially going through the center core of a planet, and their clothes, not all their clothes, so apparently pants are, much like the Hulk's pants in Marvel, they are extra absorbent of heat and energy.
I think I literally wrote down in my notes, I'm glad they wore their heat absorbing pants. Like it's the Earth's core, the planet's core that they're going through. And it shows it's burning off all of their clothes, as it's going through, but not all of them. Yes. Because I found this R-rated show where you see blood and guts going everywhere. You can't possibly have 3 naked characters, you know?
No. But they should have. It would have been.
They should have. Yeah.
Like, it's just of all the shows, I would have expected them to do it, but anyway.
It's a really weird idea in now, a really weird old idea that you can show as much violence as this show shows. You know, we had somebody rooting through Mark's intestines a few weeks ago, but you can't possibly show his naked ass. Like, that's ridiculous. But hey, it didn't ruin the moment. It really felt so brutal what they were doing. The speed was really well done in the animation, I found. Just the actual resistance that they were meeting as they go through the core of the planet, as they're traveling through it. It felt like they were going through at hyperspeed almost. You know, it was fantastic. And then, the explosion as you see the entire history of the planet destroyed by this act of the 3 of them. And then you see Thedeus going, well, now we've shown them what the legacy was, and you're kind of going, will they get the message? I don't know whether they will, or will they just think you've destroyed our home planet? And that seems to be the reaction. But he doesn't get to last very long, because Thragg takes out his punishment on everybody immediately after that. You see him pulling apart a planet-sized rock to get through to them, and he instantly takes Thaddeus's head.
Yes. It's one of these kind of ones, do I agree with what they did? I think Thedeus is, well, in my own personal opinion, I think Thedeus was wrong in this approach, because you're right. Like, they don't go, oh, well, Viltrum is no more. Ah, well,
take us away in chains and put us in your human prisons.
Fine. Nope. It's like, no. You just, like, people say don't poke a bear. They didn't just poke the bear. They electroshocked it. With a cattle prod multiple times, and then douse themselves in meat juice. Like, the only acceptable response is retaliation here. And you get that. Thragg is one of the most powerful.
Absolutely.
And this is put to show. When he headbutts Mark, like, you see in space, no one can hear you scream, but you can see a headbutt shockwave, apparently.
It's almost like a sonic boom, isn't it? Yeah. Even though there's you can't hear it.
Even though there's no gas or oxygen or boom. It's just showing how powerful he is.
Yes.
One call out I did like is that Mark kind of thinks he can take on Thragg by saying, well, I killed Conquest. And you're like, oh, that's cute.
Well, done.
Thragg does kind of like go, eh.
Yeah, but I think that plays into the end, though. I think it's a really important moment from Mark to say that, because he says it in front of all of the rest of the Viltrumites. They all turn when he says that. And I think it's very important that they know how powerful Mark is. While he's not powerful enough to take down Thragg, and that's, it's like, is that all you got, kid, kind of thing, is the reaction. I'm not impressed, but we don't have enough Viltrumites for me to kill you, is the reaction from Thragg to him. He leaves him alive. He does punch Nolan, through the insides, but again, leaves him floating in space. He doesn't rip off his head like he did with Thaedus. And he takes, Oliver's jaw and arm, saying, "You're not one of us." So, this is why I think it plays into that final moment, and we'll talk about the post-credit in its own piece, as we usually do, but it feels like Thragg realizing that Mark, who is from Earth and Nolan's his dad, has given Thragg the idea that a good way to expand the Viltrumites is to couple Viltrumites with people from Earth. So potentially they're not going to destroy Earth as payback for what the Coalition has done. They're going to mate with humans so that they can make more people like Mark, is what it feels like with that conversation. So, it's like a switch has just flicked in Thragg's head where he's gone, okay, maybe Nolan was right. There's only 40 of us. This kid's pretty powerful. If we all go there and lay our seed out, we could get another 1,000 Viltrumites in 20 years' time.
Yeah, and they talk about how throughout this season they've talked about the Mark's power level, the compatibility between humans and Viltrumites.
Exactly.
And that this was the genetic seed was the most compatible of humans, with humans that they've ever seen.
Yeah.
And that there are no other pure-blooded Viltrumites left outside of those 40. So yeah, you're talking, and they obviously at a certain point you cannot inbreed that level anymore.
Yeah.
So it does become, as you're right, it becomes that a switch is flicked, and it will play hopefully well. I think it will kind of. I'm hoping it plays in the finale, because I think that's not something you want to, like, we know it takes 2 weeks to get home. I do wonder how much they will talk about in the final episode, because versus like waiting until season 5.
Yeah, no, this has to be the movement in the final episode. In this post-credit scene where they all kind of get back together. Mark's been unconscious for a couple of weeks, is what he's told by Alan when he meets him. Alan is now the new leader of the Coalition. He's got his cool duds on. Like that. I like they didn't hold this over till next week. We had the episode 5 to episode 6 transition where we thought, Mark, how could he possibly survive? And then all of episode 6 with Mark recovering from being punched through by Conquest. They didn't wait to have another episode where we had each of the characters recovering. We're told Oliver's inside the Bacta tank, as I'm calling it, because it looks exactly
it pretty much was. It was a Luke reference, yeah.
It is definitely 100%. A Star Wars reference, but we have him inside there and we're told he's going to be fine. He'll recover, but he does have his little He-Man lockjaw type thing attached to his face now. But he will be fine. He will recover. The person who's telling us that is Nolan, who woke up the previous day, so he's awake and he's recovering, and Mark's recovering. So we know the initial trip that they took from Earth to the destination, which was the Coalition's home planet, was about 2 weeks. That was specifically said. So if Mark's been asleep for a few weeks or in a coma for a couple of weeks and Thragg's on his way to Earth, they probably have reached it by now, or they're very close to reaching it by now. And if that was the fastest that they could travel is 2 weeks, what could happen to Earth in the 2 weeks? That it will take them to get there. So, so I think they will be rushing as fast as they possibly can to get to Earth. But it still could be 2 weeks too late. Yeah.
And I do want to talk about very quickly the interesting piece here, which is they decided not to do this as a post-credit.
Yeah.
This is, it feels pointed I think that the best way to put that is that this could have been your post-credit, but they decided to put this in, and then it is very much a fade to black, if you will.
Yeah, it absolutely. I know loads of people talk about Star Wars Empire Strikes Back being the best Star Wars movie because it had the really dark ending. It's we can look back at it now because you're able to just stick in Return of the Jedi immediately afterwards and you go, grand, right? There's the story playing out. The reason why it's so good is because of this scene right here is exactly the same as the Empire Strikes Back scene. It gives a moment for all of your good guys who got away from the battle. They all survived the battle, and you thought maybe they had killed the Viltrumites and they'd gone into hiding. That's what Alan seems to think. They've killed their planet, they've destroyed the planet, and they've gone into hiding. Maybe they're just going to hide out and we won't hear from them for 100 years or something. But no, Mark's realization that actually it's much worse than you think. They're on the way to his home planet. That's a great moment to leave for the cliffhanger for the week rather than just having it as a post-credit scene. It's a bigger cliffhanger than that. So, since there isn't a post-credit scene, I guess they just thought it would be better for people to make sure people saw this and didn't turn off the episode, thinking it's all okay. So it's much worse than that. Let's see how it plays out, in the finale next week. Since we're going into the finale next week and we kind of know that, well, I think anyway, this is what the finale will be all around. There's a couple of other things that do need to be tied up when we get in there. We've got two characters that disappeared into a different dimension. We've got Monster Girl and Robot who were off with the Flaxens. I was expecting that to be resolved at some point in this season, but it was never brought up again at all.
Nope.
We've also got Adam Eve on Earth, who still hasn't told Mark that she's pregnant. And a lot of time's gone by now. Yeah, we're talking
4 or 5 months nearly at this point that he has been gone. And if you think she was like 2 weeks, a month pregnant before he left.
Well, yeah, she probably was a bit more than that because it takes a while to know that you're pregnant. So it's probably at least a month knowing, and then she's probably about 6 months pregnant at this stage, roughly. So that's got to be something there, I guess. I guess all the other stuff is just relationship stuff. It's what's happening with Debbie and Paul, or have they moved in together, that kind of stuff. So I don't know whether we'll get much of that. I just do want to note in my notes for the episode, I do want to say there's a lovely moment from Oliver where he says his favorite meal would be Paul's spaghetti because he makes his own meatballs. So I do like that even though he says Paul's boring and horrible, they did have that lovely meal before he left, and he still has respect for him because he cooks nice Italian dishes.
Yep, no, 100%. There are a few outstanding pieces on this, and I think one of the points that I think it will be interesting to see how they, and I don't think they will resolve it, I think it will fall into season 5, which is we did see Mark go through this I need to kill in order to save for the greater good. With the return of conquest and then the subsequent off-planet excursion, that gets paused. That very deep point where he was struggling about his need to save more people by kind of killing for the greater good. That is now an interesting piece because he's just killed a fair few Viltrumites. So that's something I'm hoping that does get picked up again. That is the one, that's your emotional kind of, Mark is still human, quote unquote, kind of like emotionally connected to less of his Viltrumite rage side. And we'll see how that is. And then I think, the Flaxens, I can't wait to see that one.
It'd be interesting to see what happens to them, won't it?
I know, and I'm just hoping, that's one of those, we get it in season 5. Yeah, we're halfway through. It's like this is going to be 6 seasons in a movie. I think that's what they're running for.
Yeah, maybe. Do you know, one thing that did cross my mind watching this episode, there's been loads of talk about a live action version of Invincible, rather than from the time that the animated series
Yes.
was announced, there's been this talk about a live action movie. And at this stage, I cannot see it. I cannot see it being anywhere near as good as what's been delivered here from the animated show. I just can't see people traveling through the center of a planet, destroying it on a massive screen in live action being as good as what was delivered here in this episode. I just don't see it.
But you're 100% correct, because look how long it's taken us to get the payoffs here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you called it out previously, which is no character is ever brought in that doesn't turn up later for a story beat. Like, you'd have to cut and cull so much content.
Yeah.
And then is it worth it?
Exactly.
At that point,
it's just an action movie at this stage, and it's pointless.
And it wouldn't be an action movie. It's a CGI. It would be literally a CGI fest. Like, Zack Snyder, eat your heart out type of stuff. Rebel Moon,
all the characterization and just have them punch each other in the face to show how powerful they are, and that's kind of it. Yeah, I just can't see it now, and I'm delighted that we get to watch this show each week, and we have another couple of seasons coming as well. So let's reserve talk of what could happen in season 5 until next week. Maybe they will tie up a couple of these plot lines. We know that Damien Darkblood returned to Earth, and there was a whole conversation with Satan there in one of the post-credit scenes. I can't imagine they're going to suddenly return to that next week either. But let's see how that all plays out when we come back for the finale episode. Chris, any final thoughts on the episode, or any other notes that we haven't talked about?
No, for me, I like Tech Jacket's character now. I think they aging her to the level that she is and putting her as a proxy Oliver in parts really does work well, really well. The character really has continued to grow on me more and more, and I'm happy she can become, I think, another Alan. Whereas some of the characters like Bulletproof, they're very, very tertiary to the overall plot, whereas Alan would be, I'd say, your kind of secondary character. I can see Tech Jacket taking a similar secondary character approach,
hope so.
And being one of those very much like a robot or a monster girl type, where you're interested to see what happens more with them. Definitely want to see more of Tech Jacket as we come into the following seasons and next episode. What about yourself? Any final notes?
No final notes. No, just really enjoyed the episode. I think it was exceptionally well done. It's a great penultimate episode for the season, reminding me of some of the great penultimate episodes of shows before, like the Game of Thrones one, where you have the massive battle in the second last episode and then the aftermath happens in the finale. But this time, what is going to happen on Earth? No idea. I just wonder, are they going to be coming back and we'll have Thragg on a throne somewhere, having killed swaths of humans? I have no idea how it's going to go. So really excited to see the finale next week.
I'm the same. Like, this has been such a fantastic 7 episodes. How they pulled it together, what they've shown on screen, as you say, like, and some of it I don't think I've disagreed with the speed. I think I've come to accept that some things have been elongated, some things have been contracted, and it's worked well. I think they found their footing with the narrative. They found their footing with how to kind of script and storyboard, and the animation has just gone straight to strength. And then that leaves us into what can only be, I think, a strong kick finale.
Absolutely.
Before another year break, and I'm okay with that because we got 7 to be 8. Spectacular episodes for different reasons. Very much looking forward to the final 55 minutes. And I think I'm happy to say I will not be doing anything rash or saying anything rash as we go into the final hour.
Brilliant. Well, we will leave it there. We don't have any feedback. As we said, we're recording ahead of time, so we will cover your final feedback on episode 7 and on episode 8 next week when we come back to record our finale discussion. We're going to be recording that after the episode comes out, so get your thoughts into us and we'll have a big old chat about all of your feedback on Invincible. You can get that into us by emailing us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or as usual, going over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries, or going over to our Discord, the details of which are in the show notes right here for this very episode.
Yes, and as Derek said at the beginning of this episode, we are covering so much other content. The royal we, here at TV Podcast Industries are covering Daredevil Born Again Season 2, the final season of The Boys, and, of course, Invincible. So, make sure you subscribe by heading on over to tvpodcastindustries.com, and we'll be back next week for Invincible Season 4, Episode 8, Leave Me Hanging Here, after it airs on April 22nd.
I love that as a title for the finale. Leave Me Hanging Here.
Yep.
As in, don't leave me hanging, but it's okay to leave me hanging with this this final episode for a year. Love it. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll speak to you again next week for the final episode of Invincible Season 4.
Yes. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us. Remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep being invincible.
Bye.
Bye.